So in this video, I'm going to share how to start selling on Amazon. I'm going to walk you through step by step every part of the process of getting started as a seller, answering the questions that a lot of people ask when they are getting into this business. We're going to go over some of the important missteps that people make, and this is going to be an all-inclusive video. So we're going to go through this step by step. I have an overview here. I put together a presentation for you because I want this to be something that you can almost treat this like you're taking a class or like a free course here. It's going to be a bit longer. I know that there's a lot of other distractions or things you could be doing. There's probably some Mr. Beast videos showing up on the side that are more entertaining, but I promise you that if you stick around for this video and you pull out a pencil, you pull out a piece of paper, you write down some notes and you follow along, this could potentially change your life, okay? I've been selling on Amazon for a very long time now. There's a lot of bad actors in the space. There's people who are ripping people off selling $10,000 courses on how to sell on Amazon. But the truth is that you can learn how to do this for free and you can get started selling products for free without having to pay anyone for like their special knowledge on this, okay? So I want this video to be as helpful as possible. So let's go ahead and get started with it. So here's some of the things that we're talking about, right? I first want to go into the basics of understanding how Amazon selling works and make sure it's the right fit for you. And then we'll talk about some of the different business models. There's different types of Amazon sellers, FBA, FBM. We'll talk about how to find products to sell. And then we'll go into kind of some of the more details of estimating profitability on products, some of the tools that you can use as an Amazon seller. And I think that there's going to be some real gold nuggets in here. And it could just be one thing that I say at minute 31 or something randomly that you'll have an aha moment and it'll save you thousands of dollars or prevent you from making a mistake that I've made or other people have made in the past. We'll go over some of the fees. We'll talk about forming your company, some important things regarding trademarks and other just like things that nobody else will really talk about. Like you won't be able to just ask like your friends about this. So hopefully this will help you out quite a bit. Okay. So here's the overview. Feel free to skip around if you want to. I will leave timestamps and I'll leave resources down below in the description so you can kind of go through and watch the sections of the video that are most important to you. All right, so let's get into this here. As I said, I really would recommend taking some notes on this and just setting your distractions aside. So put your phone in the other room or do whatever it takes to just lock in here and focus on what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And you know, there's this thing called shiny object syndrome. I know it gets to a lot of people. It certainly has gotten to me where we have all these different ideas or business ideas and we get distracted from them. And so what I ask for you to do is if you're serious about selling on Amazon to really lock in here and focus on it rather than giving up after a week or after a month, because this is why most people fail selling on Amazon. I would say probably more than half of people fail to become a true Amazon seller and stick with it because they just get bored, they get discouraged, they might only make $100 in their first month and they just quit. But the real way to become the best at anything is to just continuously double down and focus on it, learn from your mistakes, and I think you can go pretty far here. So talking about realistic goals for selling on Amazon, yes, I know people who are making $10 or $20 million a year on the platform, but I think realistically, a goal that I would set if I was going to start from scratch selling on Amazon would be to get to $1,000 a month within the first 3 months. Now, this is not going to make you rich overnight. It's going to take time, but $1,000 a month over the first 3 months and after a year, getting to $10,000 or $20,000 a month in sales is something that I think is a very achievable goal for people just getting started with it. I don't think you're going to just right off the bat get to $1 million a month. It takes time, it takes momentum, it takes mistakes that people make over time and learning from those to become a true successful seller on the platform. All right, so why sell on Amazon? I think this is pretty straightforward, but I just want to reiterate why this is still an opportunity that can have a lot of potential because, you know, I've heard some people say, well, you know, Amazon selling, that was like popular in like 2015, but now we're in 2025, it's a lot different. But the truth is that 220 million people in the world have Amazon Prime. So most people have it. It is one of the largest search engines in the world, only behind, I think, Google and YouTube is Amazon. So people buy so many products on here. They have an incredible distribution network, and almost half of e-commerce sales are done on Amazon these days. So it's something that even the biggest brands have to be on if they want to be competitive and they want to get serious volume when they are selling products. But probably the most important, or there's two important factors of why selling on Amazon can be better than just shipping out products yourself. And the first one is that you don't really need as much marketing. See, because Amazon is a search engine. And so if you can rank highly on specific search terms, like maybe it could be something like a computer mouse, right? If you can rank very well for some of those search terms, those could be $1 million search terms. And you don't have to spend as much money running ads, running Facebook ads, doing social media posts, because people will find your products organically. And that helps actually reduce your overall costs and improve your profit margins when you don't have to do as much marketing because it's on a platform already. Now, the other real benefit to Amazon is because they've built out this distribution network, they have their warehouses, you'll actually find that it can be cheaper to have your products shipped through Amazon versus if you were sending something through the mail. Sometimes if you send a package through USPS or FedEx or UPS, it might be $10 or $15, but Amazon might only charge you $4 or $5 to ship the same product because they have that distribution network. It's coming from their warehouse. They have logistics just to the next level. And so those are the reasons why I think selling on Amazon is still insanely lucrative and people are doing really well on the platform. So now let's talk about something that's very important. And I get asked this question very often is how much money do you actually need to get started selling on Amazon? So I think people overestimate how much money is required. And I've seen people make the mistake of actually, putting in $50,000 to start up their Amazon business with a product, and they spend all this money getting inventory. They put it out to market, and it turns out people just don't want the product or the bad product, and they might lose their life savings. I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why I recommend people starting rather small. And I think that realistically, you can get away with starting to sell on Amazon for maybe a couple $1,000s, sometimes even less, depending on how crafty you are. But you don't have to go out and spend $10,000 on inventory. You can run tests. And this is what I encourage people to do. This is what I've done while selling on the platform, is running tests. Maybe you can get basically a minimum viable product into Amazon, and maybe you only spent $500 or $1,000. You have 100 units of it to test the markets, to see if people like it, see if it sells, and then you can scale up from there. So the overall cost of getting started with this, for starting your own company, this is an LLC or like a C corporation, this might be a couple $100s. There is a service that I use for all of my companies when I start. They help me to start my LLCs. I'll leave it down below in the description if you want to check them out to help get that set up. And then there's also the Amazon seller fee. We'll talk more about fees later on in this video, but essentially if you want to be an Amazon seller, there's two different options, but the one that most people use is going to cost you about $40 a month to be a seller. Trademarks, we'll also talk about this later. You don't absolutely need a trademark immediately when you are starting to sell on the platform, but it is one that I would recommend at some point, and you're either gonna have to pay a lawyer to help you do this. You can try to do it yourself, but there's still gonna be filing fees for trademarks. So it's gonna be anywhere from like $500 to maybe $3,000 to get that trademark set. So you can protect your products and protect your IP. And then the initial inventory, anywhere between $1,000 and $5,000. But like I said, I really would recommend people starting small. You don't need as much money as what some people make it out to be, and say that, some people say you need $30,000 to get all this inventory. I think that's a huge mistake. I've seen people literally lose their life savings because they've just bought so much inventory and they weren't able to sell it. And I'll show you exactly how to start small and how to find products that you can, maybe spend $1,000 on for your initial inventory, but I'll talk about that later on in the video. So all in all, startup cost, a couple $1,000s, I think is realistic for getting started on the platform. Okay, now let's talk about the 4 primary business models that you can have as an Amazon seller. And this is really important because I've met people from all walks of life who are totally different types of Amazon sellers. So the first one that we have is someone who's doing essentially private label. So private label would be, let's take this computer mouse again, is that you are finding a manufacturer, maybe in China or in the United States or anywhere, who's making a product, and you brand it as your own. You put a label on there, you put your logo on there, and you call it your own. So you're basically building a brand, but you have someone else manufacture it, and you're doing what's called private label. This is one that's really popular. I see a lot of people doing it and can be very successful. So you're building a brand, but you're not necessarily manufacturing it yourself. You're kind of pulling something off the shelf in a sense, and you are labeling it as your own. This is a model that has worked in the past. I still think it is possible today. The margins have gotten squeezed a little bit. I'll cover that more later, but I think it is one that is still an opportunity for people to explore. Now, the other one is retail arbitrage, and this one's really interesting. So retail arbitrage, you're essentially sourcing products from wherever else and then selling them on Amazon. So sometimes you'll find gaps in the market where maybe you can buy products directly from a company for $40 and you can sell them on Amazon for $80. And you can take a spread there by basically selling other people's products, other brands' products on Amazon. This is one that I don't have a lot of experience with, I'll be honest with you. It is pretty popular on the platform, but I don't like it for a couple of reasons, or it's just not really for me. And that's because it's not building enterprise value. And I'll get to enterprise value in just a minute here. But retail arbitrage, you're basically buying products and reselling them on Amazon. You might be finding them, like you could go to Costco and Costco might be running a sale and it's really deeply discounted. You can buy those products and then you can flip them and sell them on Amazon for a profit. It can be risky because sometimes the actual price of it will drop because the market's getting flooded with them. But I have met a couple of people who are making tons of money doing specifically retail arbitrage by selling other companies' products on Amazon's platform. So you're not actually building a product yourself, you're just selling other people's products. Then we have wholesaling. So this one's pretty straightforward. You're buying in bulk and then you're selling retail. So sometimes you can directly purchase, say, 10,000 units of a product, and maybe it costs $2 per product when you buy them in bulk, and you can sell them for $10 individually. This is, a strategy that's been working for hundreds of years, buying in bulk and then selling retail. The price per unit is going to be higher when you're selling one versus when you're selling 10,000. Now, the fourth business model is when you are building something that you would call enterprise value. So this is the one that I find to be my personal favorite, and I'll explain this. So essentially, building enterprise value is building a brand that people recognize, and because you have a brand that people recognize and people like to go to it, think like Crocs, for example, right? Crocs shoes. People know Crocs. They know the brand. They know what it looks like. And because of that, it sells itself very often. You see someone else wearing it, you know that they are Crocs. You've heard of them before. Maybe you've had a pair in the past. And enterprise value, I think, is where the real money is made. And that's because you can build a business that might cash flow and you can make, $500,000 per year from that business. But the real money is made if you look at billionaires, for example, and I don't want to go off on a rant here, but if you look at billionaires, most of their wealth comes from building a brand, and the wealth there is in the actual value of the brand, not in the cash that they're making from it. Like Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. How much money does he personally make per year? I mean, I'm sure it's hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, but most of his wealth, it's because he has equity in Meta. Or Elon Musk has equity in Tesla, or Jeff Bezos has equity. He owns part of Amazon. And that's where the real, true wealth is created from enterprise value. This is the value of the company, not just the cash that it's making. And this is why I think building a brand that you could potentially sell in the future is probably the best move that you could make, or at least personally, that's the move that I am making, because my goal is to sell companies. So I want to build companies and get them up to, say $30 million a year, and then be able to sell that company for a 5x multiple on my sales and sell it for 150. I know that sounds crazy, but that is what people do. And that is the way that I think real money is made, is by building a brand that you could potentially sell in the future. Okay, so how do you build a brand with enterprise value? You can kind of actually do it with the first model, which is private labeling, but it's just creating your own brand, right? And marketing that brand so that people know it and they trust it. This could be think of all your favorite brands. Those all have significant amounts of enterprise value. So we'll go into it more later on in the video. I'll show you how to get things set up and how to find products. But I really would recommend starting your own brand, your own company that eventually becomes a household name is really tremendous value. Okay, so let's talk about something important here, which is Amazon FBA versus Amazon FBM. So FBA is fulfillment by Amazon. Essentially what you're doing here is you will send your products to Amazon's warehouses, and then Amazon will fulfill the orders for you. This is what most sellers do on the platform, and this is why Amazon is such a successful platform today, is because they are shipping out the orders for the sellers rather than like you getting an order and then you like packaging up something and then like going down to the post office and mailing it, right? This saves people a lot of time. It also means that you can do this from anywhere because you don't have to have your own warehouse and be shipping things out. You can be actually on the beach somewhere, just on your laptop and managing everything without actually really having to touch the inventory that you're selling, thanks to fulfillment by Amazon. Now, they do charge a bunch of fees for doing all this for you, but I think personally it's worth it. It saves you a lot of time, it saves you a lot of headache from having to deal with shipping. You just send in your inventory all at once to their warehouse. It goes up in some bins somewhere, and then every time an order gets placed on Amazon, Amazon will go, a worker or a robot, I think these days, will go and pick out that item and they will ship it out for you. And you can just view it all from your computer, which is pretty great. Fulfillment by merchant. Some people still use this. It's useful for like big products, for example, like if you're selling like desks or something, or if you're selling like refrigerators on Amazon. Amazon warehouses would charge you a lot of money. It's not really like, doesn't make a lot of sense for those huge products to be going through the Amazon warehouse. So that's the time that I see people using fulfillment by merchant, is for those really large items, or if you're a small scale seller and you're only selling like 5 to 10 items per day, per month, or if it's like a really custom item and you want to customize it every time for every order, that's when fulfillment by merchant could be useful. So think of like fulfillment by merchant like as like an old school, like selling on eBay type of setup where you're sending it out yourself. You might save on some fees, like you don't have to pay storage fees, but I really would recommend fulfillment by Amazon for most people. It's just the way to go. So now let's talk about some of the fees that are associated with selling on Amazon, just so you have more clarity here. So I'm over on sell.amazon.com/pricing. I'll leave a link to this down below as well if you want to explore it. But this will help us understand the differences between some of the different fees and the different selling plans that you can have. So you have the professional plan or the individual plan. I would recommend most people who are serious about selling on Amazon pay that $39.99 per month to have the professional plan. If you don't have that, you're going to pay about 99 cents per item that you're selling. So basically, if you're selling more than 40 items per month, it's automatically going to be cheaper for you to just get the professional plan and pay for that. But you get a lot of other features as well when you have the professional plan. So the base fixed cost essentially is $40 a month to sell on Amazon's platform. But beyond that, there are other fees as well. We can estimate our FBA costs, and then there's also referral fees. So referral fees, this is something that Amazon charges for every time someone buys a product on Amazon. They take a cut of that because they kind of say, well, we referred them to you. We got the sale for you because they were on our platform. So you're going to pay Amazon a referral fee. And it varies by product category. So if you're selling baby products, it could be 8% for products with a sales price of $10 or less, 15% for products with a price higher than $10. So go through, find your product category. You'll notice that, these are kind of high referral fees. And this is why selling on Amazon, you do have to be careful with margins. Like if you're selling computers, you're going to pay 8% of the sale price to Amazon as a referral fee. That's not shipping fees. That's a referral fee to Amazon. Okay. And they also have minimum amounts here that are about 30 cents for any item that's being sold. So some of these have pretty low referral fees. Other ones generally are about 15% of the product price. So if you're selling something for $20 and it falls into the everything else category, that's going to be about $3 in a referral fee that you're paying Amazon just for getting you that sale essentially. So you might not have to spend as much money on marketing, but you do have to spend money on those referral fees. Now, there's also other fees as well. So if we go and we estimate our FBA costs here using the calculator, and let's say that we want to sell like a snake strap like this, right? And so if we're selling it for $18.99, we'll pay a $2.85 referral fee, and then we'll have a monthly storage fee per unit. There's all these other different things here, variable closing fees, fixed closing fees that are involved or potentially involved. You'll have the inbound FBA service placement fee. So you can play around with this calculator to see exactly how much you're going to be spending on all these different various fees that are associated with this. And then you'll actually be able to calculate your margins as well. So I would recommend playing around with this calculator so you can basically understand the fees that you're paying and make sure that the numbers still work for you. All right, so let's talk about how to find products to sell on Amazon. This is one of the questions that I get very often is how do you decide what the first product that you should sell should be? So I'll give you some pointers on this, but the best strategy that I could say that you could use for this is using a piece of software called Helium 10. I will give you like a longer tutorial on it as well coming up in just a couple of minutes here, but seeking low competition products. So for example, especially on your first product, if you think that you're going to sell pens or pencils and you're going to make a lot of money from that, the truth is, especially as an early seller, beginner, you're going to get crushed. And it's because it's just too mainstream of a product. You're competing with like Walmart and direct manufacturers in China who can manufacture it for 1 cent. And it's going to be really difficult to build a business off of a very generic product. So they always say the riches are in the niches or niches, and this is really true, especially for your first products. So what I recommend doing is you're going to want to find products that are selling, they're starting to heat up, but they're not things that are too crowded right now. So a great example of this would be 2 years ago, beef tallow, right? Beef tallow was something that wasn't really popular 2 or 3 years ago. I had a friend who saw that this beef tallow trend was starting to pick up. The interest was starting to increase a little bit on it, but it was still low volume. There weren't many people making it. And he found that opportunity. And you only find these opportunities once in a blue moon. Like it's pretty rare. Maybe once every couple of months, you'll find a product where you say, wow, big opportunity here. And jumping on that is the important part. But he saw beef tallow starting to pick up, and he started his own beef tallow brand, which now he's doing, I don't want to share his numbers, but it's well into the millions of dollars per year that he's making from this beef tallow business because he caught the trend. And now it's really popular. Now there's a lot of people making it. There's probably 100 or 200 different manufacturers of beef tallow now. But when he entered the market, he was one of the first ones. And so first mover advantage is something really huge. One of the best ways to spot trends is actually spending some time on TikTok, spending some time on social media, trying to really dig through the weeds on finding new products that are starting to gain some momentum. Definitely though, whatever you do, I recommend starting with one product. Don't try to just launch like 10 products all at once. This can be a disaster. Start with one, learn how it sells, see what went wrong, and then start to launch other products in the future once you have that first one locked down and it's either cash flowing or you decide to abandon it and move on to a different product because maybe it's just not a good one, right? But start with one definitely so that you don't get lost in the sea of selling on Amazon when you have 10 things all at once, because it gets complicated pretty quickly. Okay, so let me show you how to use Helium 10 to find products, because this is a tool that I think everyone should be using. It is something that can save you so much time, and it's kind of like your assistant when it comes to selling on the platform. So let me show you how to find products to sell on Amazon. So there's a couple of different ways we can do this, but the best one is using Helium 10 software. Now, I personally use this. There's thousands of other Amazon sellers that use it, and it is a total game changer because you can essentially look into other people's businesses. You can see how many units your competitors are selling. You can see their profitability and so many other things, including sometimes finding out where they're actually sourcing their products from, which is super helpful. So Helium 10, I'll leave a link to it down below, but I want to walk you through the platform and show you all of the different features that you can use on this that's really going to increase your chances of success of selling on Amazon. So I'll leave a link to it down below. It is an affiliate link, just as a quick disclaimer. So like I said earlier, I don't have a course to sell you, but if you do find this video to be valuable and you want to get this software, then feel free to go through my link below. I get a small commission when people sign up for it, but I use the software myself. I think it's great, and I really do think it's worth it. So having said that, let me show you why this is really useful. Okay, so let's go over to Amazon, and let's say that we're just trying to think of a different, like some type of product that we want to sell. So we can just start typing things in. Let's say we look up beef tallow, and right now we have the Helium 10 Chrome extension. So we have it connected there. So when we look something up like beef tallow, we can see search volume, what's everyone searching for, and the amount of searches that they are doing. Also the trends, is it increasing or decreasing? So the beef tallow trend, it looks like it's kind of decreasing right now, but it still could be something that we want to look into. So let's say that we look up beef tallow, and we can see essentially these are extrapolated estimates from Helium 10, but they will show us estimations of the average price, the average ratings, and then even if we click on this right here, we can load the past 30 days sales data from each of these products. So Helium 10 is estimating that this listing right here, this 100% grass-fed beef tallow for skincare, has sold about $854,000 worth of products from this one listing in the past 30 days. They sold about 21,800 units in the past 30 days. This is such important data that you can't get otherwise if you're not using Helium 10. So we can look into this and see who's selling the most, so this is like gives you a real upper edge over other people who don't have software like this. Like here's one, this Wagyu beef tallow. They're doing about $100,000 a month. They're selling 5,600 units. And we can go in deeper. We can look into this specific seller. We can learn more things about them, right? So that's just one of the things that you can do for finding products, is going on Amazon, typing things in, and then looking at sellers and how much they're doing, and estimating their profitability. But also, let's go back to the Helium 10 dashboard, okay? And I want to take you over to tools, where if we click on the black box here, so black box for Helium 10, and by the way, for pricing, there is a free option for Helium 10. I really would recommend getting the platinum option. It's going to be a little bit of an investment, but I personally think it is worth it. That's the one that I have. So let's say that we're looking for a product and we really just don't know where to start. So we can just say that we're looking to sell these products on Amazon in the US. In category, I really think beauty and personal care, skincare can be something that is always going to be lucrative. There's always going to be great new trends with that, and people are willing to spend a lot of money to look younger or to not get wrinkles, okay? So maybe beauty and personal care is one that I personally like. Ones that might need some improvement. We want ones with low or medium competition. I would not recommend high competition for people who are just getting started selling on the platform. So we'll say medium. And then I want to sell my product for at least $30 to $100 with a monthly revenue of $1,000 to $10,000. Now you can toggle with these and see how the search results differ, but this is the black box feature. This is showing us the different products and giving us ideas that we could sell with, okay? So what it's giving us right now is a lot of different types of hair extensions. Now, personally, I'm probably not going to do hair extensions because I'm a guy and I don't know anything about them. I'm sure I can learn about them, but it's not really one that excites me very much. And this is something that I've learned selling on the platform, or just selling products in general, is that sometimes it's nice to have a product that you can actually be passionate about, because you'll wake up in the morning and be excited to work on it a little bit more than if I was selling hair extensions. I don't really care about hair extensions, honestly, but we can still see the price that they're selling for. We can see their average revenue and, their reviews as well, where it's coming from, the brand, everything else, with a lot of details on that, okay? So I went back and I modified it a little bit, and here's some other ones that I think are really interesting. Here's one that I might want to analyze. It looks like some type of sunscreen. Here's one is a perfume. I want to analyze that one, and some other oil that I might want to look at, okay? And then what we can do is we can save those product ideas. We can add them to our list, right? So if I want to add them to my list, I just put them there so I can go back and check up on them and analyze them even more if I want to, okay? So let's say that I want to look into this one a little bit more. I can click on it. It'll take me over to the Amazon listing, and I can see that, it looks like it doesn't have amazing reviews, but they might be onto something here. And Helium 10 will give us some information. They're doing about $1,600 a month on this product. They're selling 41 units per month. And we can look in their listings. We can see lots of different things. Their sales estimator, their revenue calculator, right? And we can make a decision based off of all this information that's available to us if this is something that we want to explore further. All right, so the black box with Helium-10 is really useful and effective. We can also start with things like keywords, for example. So maybe we want to look off of keywords, or we want to look off of things that have a minimum search volume of 10,000 searches per month, or things that are selling for somewhere between $40 and $50 per month. We can toggle all these different things to find the perfect product for us to sell. So I've had a lot of questions in the past too from people asking, what is the best category to pick for an Amazon business? And the truth is really there's any category can work. And we'll look more into pricing and like how to estimate profitability and everything. But I like the beauty and personal care area because people are spending a lot of money on skincare products, on hair products, on things to make them healthier or younger. That's always going to be a really effective category for moving a lot of product. But I know people who are successful selling all kinds of different things, whether this is electronics or they're selling kitchen appliances or pet supplies. So really just pick your niche. I would recommend that you try to find one that you are a little bit passionate about. Just makes it a little bit more fun. It's just up to you on which niche you want to pick. There's not one that's going to have better profitability overall than other ones. So that's how I would go about finding products to sell on Amazon. There are so many other features with Helium-10 you can see with keyword research, with marketing, with listing optimization, which we'll get to in about 15 minutes or so. We'll talk about how to make the best listings, but they can help you with all of that as well to make sure that you have a high quality listing that's going to rank on Amazon search. So I really would recommend it. I'll leave a link to Helium-10 down below, as well as any discount codes if they have them. I'm talking to the company right now. I'll see if we can get you a special discount code. I will leave that below in the description as well. So let's continue on with the video. All right, so now let's talk about how to source products. So we have a lot of different ways to source products. It depends on what you're trying to sell. So we have the traditional ways to source products that I think maybe you might have heard of before in the past, but just in case you haven't, I'll tell you about them. Things like Alibaba. Alibaba is Chinese, and so a lot of the manufacturers on there are based in China. China is, basically the manufacturing hub of the world. There are some really great manufacturers over there at good prices, and so this is one of the best ways to find products, or at least connect with manufacturers, work with them to help build out the product specifically of what you're looking for. It'll also help you understand costs a little bit better, so you can make sure you're not getting ripped off when you go on there, talk to manufacturers, and compare their costs for all of them. We have things like Temu, AliExpress. There's a lot of different platforms that you can source products from, but really the most important thing that you can do, or the biggest alpha here, is going to be direct relationships with manufacturers. And the truth is that they just come over time. So especially if you're just getting started, this can be one of the biggest barriers to entry, because you might not know many manufacturers, and they might not really be willing to talk to you if you tell them, yeah, I've not made a single dollar and I want to, take like 2 hours of your time to talk about your factories and see how we can work together. Sometimes it can be hard to get on the phone with them or even get responses on emails if they know that you are a very beginner seller, because they just don't take you very seriously. So this can be a problem, and it's one that is hard to get around. You just kind of have to brute force your way through it in order to connect with these manufacturers. I've also seen people go over to China, like they'll take a trip to China to go to factories to meet with manufacturers. They tend to do that later once they're already making money, but if you're a little bit crazy and you want to just do that, then you could, and you could, potentially find some really good connections and relationships there. There's also things like there are trade fairs that you can go to. There's a really big trade fair in China. Maybe I'll link to it down below, that people go to find connections and relationships with manufacturers. But the one that I actually did for a product that I launched a couple months ago was actually, you can just make it yourself. And I know that sounds mind-blowing to a lot of people. It depends on the type of product that you are selling, but sometimes, as long as it's not like food, for example, which you have to have like FBA approvals for, but if it's a simple product, you'd be surprised the types of things that you can actually just make yourself, or find someone in your local area who's like a machinist, for example, or maybe you have a 3D printer that you can print a product yourself and start to get it out to market. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I did with my first product, or one of the products that I just launched a couple months ago. I made it myself, and I basically have the MVP. I have the minimum viable product for it. I wanted to make sure that it works. And now what I'm doing right now is I'm taking it to a co-manufacturer. So a lot of products that you find, especially like food products, for example, they are not actually manufacturing those products themselves. They work with someone who manufactures it for them in the States or somewhere nearby. So co-manufacturers or co-packaging is a really big business, especially in the United States. If you want to, let's say that you want to sell like bars of soap, right? But you don't have a warehouse for it. You don't have the machinery to create like a Dr. Squatch competitor, right? Like a soap company. There are dozens or hundreds of co-manufacturers that you can go to in the United States. I mean, there's ones here in Philadelphia that I can call up right now and say, hey, I want to produce soap. I have my own brand. Can you help me produce this? And they already have the equipment. They have the factory here in the States, and they will help me do that. And they will, might have to do 5,000 units on the first order or something. This is what most like CPG companies do, consumer packaged goods companies do, especially if you're launching some type of food product. This is one that I would recommend is calling up local manufacturers or machinists or other people who can help you create this product in your local area before you go out and try to find something in a different country with a language barrier and other kind of problems there as well. So I don't really see anybody talking about that, but you can make it yourself. It's going to take some time, but you can. It depends on what you're making. If you're making like SD cards or something, then no, you probably can't make this in your basement. But if it's more simple product, you can. Now, a really big pointer that I want to share with you is when you're sourcing products, you're going to want to get as many samples as you can to find the best one. The best one for value that's going to, cost the least for you, but also have the highest quality. And so the way to do this is to reach out to basically as many manufacturers as you can and get samples from them and then compare all of those samples. And I would recommend getting at least 5 samples of any specific product that you're looking for so that you can compare them all and make sure that you find the best one. And you could do this on Alibaba or on these other platforms is reach out to them. And most of them are willing to send you a sample. You might have to cover shipping costs or something, but yes, that's something that you definitely should be doing for all of your products. Now let's talk about estimating profitability for potential products that you're looking to sell. So we have a really basic kind of quick and dirty ratio that you can use to understand if you have the potential of profiting on a product. And there's also other ones like you can use Helium 10. They have a calculator to help you out with profitability. I'll leave a link to that down below as well. But just a quick and dirty number, like if I'm looking at products, so generally you want to use the rule of thirds here. So for your product, 1/3 of that could go product costs, 1/3 of it would go into shipping and Amazon fees, and then the other third could be potential profit. This is of the list price of an item. So if you're selling something for $21, and as long as you can get that product cost at about $7, your shipping and Amazon fees might be another $7, and then you can have about 1/3 profit, about $7 profit per item if you're selling it for $21. Now, this changes a lot based on the category and the type of product you're selling, the weight of it, everything. There's a lot of factors associated with Amazon fees, but that's just something that I look at when I'm thinking about products. Another thing that's really important here is you want to make sure that you're not selling products that are too inexpensive. So if you are trying to sell a product that is $5, like you're selling it for $5, you're basically going to make no money. You may make like 25 cents. And even if you sell 100 of those, you're going to make almost nothing. So I would recommend selling products that are valued at least at a minimum $10, probably more like $15 or $20, so that you have room to actually make some money. Sometimes you'll see products on Amazon that, might cost $4.97. And the truth is that whoever's selling that is really not making any money. They might be making like 25 cents or 50 cents, but it's pretty bad. So try to find products that at least are $10 or $15. Obviously, the more expensive, the better. If you can sell a product for $60, you'll have a lot more wiggle room for squeezing out profitability on that product. Okay, so as I said, sourcing at least 3 to 5 samples, very important when you're getting those products. Just order as many as you can. Sometimes they can take like a month to arrive. So do this as soon as possible because if they're coming from China or overseas, they ship them slowly on big ships and they can take a while. So order as many as you can, compare them all. It's worth it. View it as like an R&D, a research and development expense for your business, but it's going to be very, very good to do that. Okay. All right. Now let's think about tariffs here for a minute, because this is something that has come up very often as well. And what should you think about tariffs? How should you deal with them when you are selling on Amazon? And the truth is that you have an advantage here, because if you're starting off, you kind of already know the basics of what the tariffs are, or like what countries are getting high tariffs. So you have an advantage over existing Amazon sellers, because existing Amazon sellers, some of them have gotten burned, and they're, spending 30% or 40% in tariff fees to import their product. But what I would recommend doing, and I don't know what time you're watching this video, it seems like tariffs change every day, at least in mid 2025. So it's kind of chaotic right now. But just do some research on countries and the tariffs that are charged for each of them of importing products into your country, if you're in the United States or Canada or anywhere else in the world. But this is another reason why it could be useful to try to find a manufacturer in your own country, like in the United States. And people don't really do this because they just assume that it's going to be more expensive in the US. But there's a lot of advanced manufacturing in the States still that you can get set up and could be worthwhile. That's at least what I'm running towards right now. I think going forward in the future, it's going to be pretty complicated with tariffs, but don't let it discourage you. You can still source products from China, for example. I think right now, today, tariffs on China are like 30% or 40%, give or take. And even with that, these are just your input costs, not your final cost of a product. So if you're selling a product for $20 and it's a 30% tariff, you're not actually spending $6 on the tariff. You're just spending the money on tariffs on the cost of the product that it cost you before you're selling it. So maybe, if I bought this for $7 and there's a 30% tariff, that's going to be $2.10 tariff fee that I have to pay to the US. I won't get into the weeds there with all the math there, but you can still make it work. And a lot of other people are dealing with it at the same time. So just remember that a lot of costs of goods are going to go up, or otherwise people are going to be eating those tariffs and just having lower margins. But yeah, just continue to follow it. And I don't really know what else to say on that, to be honest. So let's talk about product prototypes. So maybe this is just something that I really have passion in, but that is designing a product, figuring out where to source those materials from, and seeing if I can manufacture it myself or work with someone closely nearby who can help me out with this. And so here's an example of something. Maybe you want to sell snake traps, right? Like people have a snake in their backyard and they want to get rid of it, or they want to, relocate it or something. And snake traps are actually an item that, I used to sell and did pretty well. So going through the design process, you can use AutoCAD, you can use different types of software. If you're not technically enabled, then that's okay. I would recommend just finding someone who can help you out with designing some of these products so that they are premium. Sometimes co-manufacturers can help you out with this, hiring an engineer to help you design these products, and then also filing patents. I don't think patents are as important, but trademarks are definitely important. So let's talk about forming your business, and then also we'll talk about filing a trademark. So I'm going to show you how to start your Amazon seller account. But before you start your Amazon seller account, you're probably going to want to create a business. So you can sell items personally on Amazon, but I wouldn't recommend it. And there's a variety of reasons for this. But the big two reasons why I would not recommend selling items personally under your own name, there's really actually three reasons. One is privacy, because you don't really want people like your name showing up as the seller on Amazon, but also for legal reasons. So having an LLC or a C corporation can potentially protect you from lawsuits. If someone gets hurt using your product or something, they might try to sue. And they can either sue your business or they can sue you personally. And if you're just selling things under your name, you are open to a lot more potential lawsuits. So liability is a big one. And then also tax reasons. So it makes more sense to have a corporation or an LLC, and you'll save some money on taxes when you are selling on Amazon. So how to open your business, you can use this platform called Taylor Brands. It's pretty intuitive. They'll walk you through and they will actually do the filing for you in whatever state that you are looking to file your LLC in. Now, if you're outside the United States and you're trying to sell on Amazon and you want to sell in America, you can still do that. And I believe Taylor Brands will help you to create that LLC even as someone who is not American. So it's a great platform. I use it for all of the companies that I launch. You can do it in about 15 minutes. I would recommend doing it right after this video to get that set up so that you can then apply to become an Amazon seller. Oh, and also the difference between a C Corp and an LLC, it can get kind of complicated. I would recommend most people just setting up an LLC. It's a pass-through entity. It's going to be easier. It just goes through on your taxes. So a C Corp, it's like a whole separate entity. It can be more complicated. For most people, probably just setting up an LLC is going to be the best bet, but I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an accountant. I'm just a random guy. So make sure you do your own research on that before you set something up, okay? All right, so filing a trademark. Now, you don't have to do this immediately, but I would recommend doing this sometime within the first 6 months or year, especially as your products start taking off on the Amazon platform. So the biggest reason for this is because you can protect your brand from copycats. As soon as something starts selling well on Amazon, you're going to see this, and you might notice this when you look up products and you'll see like 10 different versions of the same product. And you're like, why do these brands look kind of like similar but different? Like, what's going on here? And it's because there's a lot of copycats. It's actually a problem on Amazon's platform, but the biggest way to protect this and to file complaints and get those copycats taken down is to have a trademark. So you can file this with the USPTO, the US Trademark Office. It also, when you have a trademark, it allows you to enroll in something called Amazon Brand Registry. And with Brand Registry, you are protecting your brand, but you get some really good benefits. I'll leave a link to this specific page on Amazon that'll go over some of the benefits of enrolling in Brand Registry. But in order to enroll in Brand Registry, you need to have a trademark or at least have filed a trademark that is pending. All right. And so you can see some of the benefits or incentives for enrolling in Brand Registry on Amazon is you get 10% back on your first $50,000 in branded sales. Then you get 5% back through your first year until you reach $1 million in sales. So that's a pretty actually great benefit there. You also get $200 credit for Amazon Vine, which is like a review system that Amazon has set up. So if you want to file a trademark, you can go to a local attorney, a local lawyer in your area. You can also use something called Trademark Angel to help you to launch this trademark and get this up and running for your business. Trademarks do cost, between like $1,000 and $3,000 to get that set up. So keep that in mind. You don't need it right now, but you probably will want it at some point. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to show you how to set up an Amazon seller account. You're going to need some things like a government ID. You're going to need your business formation documents. So make sure you have that set up. And then you're going to either need an EIN or a social security number. So an EIN is like the social security number for a business. It's like the tax identification number for a business. You can easily get one of those on the IRS website. And then you'll need an email and a phone number. Getting an actual Amazon seller account can actually be difficult. I've seen many people get rejected. I have not gotten rejected personally, but I've seen people get rejected for a variety of reasons. And so they just basically want to make sure that you're a real person, that you're not like scamming people, and that you are who you say you are. So sometimes you'll have to get on a call, or you'll have to do some like face identification or other forms of verification. Like sometimes they'll mail something to you to verify that you actually are at that mailing address. So it is a stringent verification process in some cases. I think I just opened up an Amazon seller account a little while ago and I got approved, I think within a day. So for most people, you can get in pretty quickly. But if you do see some roadblocks, don't worry, you can get through them. It might just take a little bit of time. All right, now let's talk about listings and descriptions for your products that you're launching on the platform. Now, the biggest tips that I can give you here is, first of all, keyword stuffing the title, right? So remember, Amazon is a search engine. They're not really browsing Amazon. They're going onto the search bar and they're typing in what they want, what they're looking for. And so when you are creating a title for your product, you want to stuff in as many important keywords as you can for that product, even if it feels like it's a bunch. And what I want you to do is, once you have a product and you're ready to start listing it, I want you to just look at other products that are selling well, and you can see which ones are selling well because Helium 10 will show you, estimate how many products each seller is selling. So super useful with that. Find the ones that are selling well and then analyze their titles, analyze their descriptions, see what they're doing, because whatever they're doing is working. Okay. So keyword stuffing the title, you want to fill in as many as you can on the given characters that you're allowed to do. So using this computer mouse again, what you don't want to do is just like have a title as computer mouse. That's a terrible title. It's not going to rank on Amazon. You probably won't get many sales. Instead, what you want to do, and you can even ask ChatGPT or something to help you come up with like some good titles here, is you want to stuff in as many words as possible. So computer mouse, ergonomic for men, women, kids, easy, like you want to find as many synonyms and words that you can stuff into the title so that people have the potential, because not everyone's searching for computer mouse. They might be searching for computer mice, or I don't know, like random things that are kind of similar to it that might end up getting you more search results. So that's what I would do for a title. Definitely study the top sellers and then learn how to take photos of your product. So I have a white piece of paper that I use and I set it up, and I have a camera luckily. But now with AI, I mean, you can take photos of your product and you can just feed it into AI to make a better background for it, or to have better product placement, put it in like someone's hand, for example. There's a lot of things you can do to make better product photos, but the photos are one of the most important factors of ranking on Amazon and selling your product. So don't half-ass this one, seriously. And what I would recommend doing is, if you're not a photographer, if you don't have a camera, then find someone who does and send the product to them, have them take some photos of it. Might cost you $100 or $200 for them to take a bunch of photos of your product, but it's going to be worth it when you have high quality photos. You're going to need one that has a white background, or essentially like a transparent background. That's going to be your key photo. So if you look on Amazon, you'll notice most products have just a white background. That is one of the requirements that they have for photos, especially for the first like key image of your product, is to have that white background. So send it off to someone, give it to some friends who have cameras, and have them help you take some pictures. Watch a YouTube video on how to take quality photos. It's not actually that difficult. Like, I'm not good with cameras, but I was able to take really high quality photos just from using a couple of different tricks and tactics for that. Okay. So those are the really important things. Filling out your descriptions, obviously, you want them to be as big as possible, as long as possible. Utilizing those bullet points so that's easily digestible. And then, a lot of other ones that are pretty intuitive or pretty obvious, like when people ask questions on Amazon, you're answering them as the seller, you're responding to them, is going to be really important as well. Okay, so now let me show you how to send products to Amazon. I'll take you into the dashboard and show you around. It's not very difficult to do this. You can just pack up your products and you can send it out via UPS to Amazon's warehouses, or they can come and pick it up as well. All right, so I'm inside of my Amazon seller dashboard, and what we're going to do in order to send products to Amazon, we're going to go over to the manage section up here. I'm just on the home page here. So we're going to click on manage, and then we have the ability to manage inventory here, where we can manage FBA inventory. So I'm going to click on that there, and I'm going to have the ability to ship products to Amazon by clicking on this in the bar right here on shipments, and I can do manage shipments, or I can send to Amazon. So I'm going to click on send to Amazon here, and you can literally just package up your products into a box and take it to the UPS store. That's what I would actually recommend you doing for your first shipment. Now, if you have very large products, or you're sending thousands of units to Amazon, they can arrange to actually pick it up from your office or even from your house, if you're selling it out of your garage, for example. But if you have small enough units, or not as many, you can just box them up in any box, and they'll give you a label. You'll just have to label a couple of things on them, make sure everything is uniform, and that you attach SKUs to them. You can just get stickers to attach SKUs, and then you send them in. So what I can do here is I can select one of our products, and I can enter in the amount of units that I'm planning on sending in. Maybe I want to send in 500 new units, and the expiration date on these units, let's say it is just say an arbitrary 6 or 7 months from now. And then I'll click on ready to pack. And so they give us a number of steps here. We have step 1, which is packing our units. We confirm the shipping, and then we print box labels. So I'm going to pack individual units now. And for this, I might need multiple boxes. I can just select that. I'll probably need about 5 boxes to send 500 units. And then I'm going to have to weigh those boxes as well. So let's say that each box is going to weigh 40 pounds, and then enter the box dimensions as well. Then I will confirm that packing information. I'll go to the shipping queue. And here we can see the total shipping cost. So it's going to be about $120 to ship 500 of these units in 5 different boxes. And you'll find that this is actually much cheaper than if you were just personally going to the UPS store and mailing units to someone else. Amazon gets you special discounts and special deals for shipping with all of their shipping partners. So you're going to want to make sure that you put these numbers into your calculations as well to make sure that you're still profitable on your product. You need to account for all these little fees and expenses when it comes to selling your product. So 500 units and costing me $120 between those, that comes out to about, I think, 25 cents per unit of shipping cost to get it to Amazon's warehouses. And so from here, they're going to tell us exactly where to ship it to. Once we mail those in, then it will show up in your Amazon dashboard as inventory, and then you can get started selling the product. Your listing will essentially be live once you toggle the live button on, and then you're ready to go selling products on the platform. So like I said, it's pretty easy to send products into Amazon. You can also arrange to have your supplier directly ship products to Amazon instead of you having to get those products and then ship them to Amazon, having like double shipping. They can go directly to the Amazon warehouse from your manufacturer. You can set that up with them. So let's move on to the next step here. Okay, so you're starting to sell products on Amazon's platform. But another thing that you should be doing is to, at the very least, set up a Shopify store or set up a website, because people like to do research on products before they buy them. And I do this myself all the time as a consumer. I'm about to buy something on Amazon. I found it, but I just want to check out the product a little bit more, and I'll Google it, or I'll go to their website to just kind of try to find more information about the brand. So you want to have a footprint off of just Amazon, whether this is just setting up your social media, setting up your Instagram, your Facebook page, your TikTok accounts, your Twitter, and also setting up a Shopify store. And the reason for this is because some people just don't want to buy something through Amazon. Maybe they don't have Amazon Prime, or they want to buy it directly through your website. It's just going to help you overall capture more of those sales by setting up a Shopify store. We have tutorials showing you how to set those up, but it's going to be useful, especially when you have Instagram posts, or you have TikToks or tweets or something, and you can send people not just to your Amazon store, but to your Shopify store. There's also TikTok Shop. I'm going to save that for an entirely different video. That is a totally different animal, but TikTok Shop is very popular, and people are making a lot of money using TikTok, doing live shopping, a lot of different things to get sales. So yeah, those are both things that I would recommend setting up. Just spend some time, take a few hours, set up your Shopify store. It's not really difficult to do that. You can set up a Shopify store in like half an hour. I'll leave a link to it down below if you want to get that started. So now let's talk about how to get sales for your product. Let's say that you've gotten your product, you've tested it out, you really like it, you've sent it to Amazon's warehouse, you've made the listing, you've done all these things. How do you actually start selling it? How do you convince people to buy it? So there's a number of ways. One of the first ones is actually that it should start selling itself. I'll show you actually a product of mine that I listed about 3 months ago, and I haven't really done anything with it. I just have been really busy on other things. But you can see, and let me take you to it right now, actually. So you can see with this product, I've done essentially nothing with it besides just listing the product. I haven't even really optimized the listing. I haven't gone through and fixed it up, but you can see that it's already starting to sell itself. When I listed it in April, it sold 2, then it sold 2 more, and it sold a couple here and there, right? But it's starting to pick up more, and just over time, because Amazon is a search engine, and if people like your product, they're going to start buying more and more of it, and it's going to just rank in search on Amazon organically if it's a good product, okay? So that's the best reason why people even sell on Amazon in the first place, is because it should organically sell itself. But if you want to start getting more sales and you want to jumpstart this, which I would recommend, you have a number of options. One of them is running Amazon ads. So Amazon has their own ads network inside of the platform. So you'll notice if you go and you try to buy something on Amazon, a lot of the first results are actually sponsored, and most of them do what's called pay per click. So anytime someone clicks on one of those products that's sponsored at the top, you'll end up paying a small fee for that. So native Amazon ads, it's something that you can do to optimize. If it costs you $1 per conversion on that, and you're taking a spread on that, it's definitely worth it. Everyone should be running Amazon ads if it makes sense. Okay. Google ads, another one that I've been using Google ads for a very long time. Don't really necessarily use them for Amazon products, but you could use them if you're skilled with running Google ads or Facebook ads or any other type of ad as well. You can definitely look into doing that. We have videos showing you how to pretty much run on any ads platform, whether you're trying to run TikTok ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, Snapchat ads. We have all those tutorials showing you how to run ads. And then organic social media is probably the best alpha here, or the best option for free conversions. So just pumping out TikTok, pumping out Instagram Reels, even tweets, I think is one that is underrated, or going kind of more guerrilla style marketing and posting on Reddit and forums, even just going out in public and sharing your product with people. There's so many strategies for marketing. We have a lot of videos on this, sharing marketing strategies that you can use. But the best one here, or the simplest one here, is just going to be understanding that if you optimize your listing and you have a good product and you have a good price, it should sell itself. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And also Amazon ads are going to be the most useful there. Okay, so just those two alone, and you can do all these other things as well, but those two are going to be the most important there for getting your business off the ground. All right, so I hope this video was helpful for you to get started selling on Amazon's platform. I really wanted to make this as in-depth as possible, but if you have any questions or problems with selling on Amazon, you run into any issues, feel free to leave some comments down below, or reach out to me, send me a DM on like Instagram or on Twitter or something, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. So I wish everyone the best of luck. Remember, this is going to take time, but I'm really excited for you. I think if you stick with this, you have a chance of succeeding. So I wish everyone the best of luck. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see everybody sometime in a future video.